I just love how the camera battery goes down 2 notches as I'm trying to film this shit. Really, bitch? Alright, let's get into this video. You know what the problem is? The problem is that you constantly feel drained by other people. And people that don't even serve you, honestly. Your family, your friends, and sometimes by people who you don't even know. You constantly try to take the pain away from other people to feel it for them so that they don't have to feel it. To make sure they are okay first, instead of looking at you and asking yourself first, am I okay before helping these people? Constantly putting yourself last. What you might not have realized is that you are self-abandoning yourself in the process. And this video is the end of the empath's self-betrayal. Get fucking ready. If you're watching this, and you are likely an empath, someone who feels other people's emotions deeply and can feel it literally how they feel. You can literally feel that exact same pain. You might think that being able to feel and absorb these other people's emotions is strength. And maybe people might have told you that throughout your life too. Empathy is a strength, which it is, but we're gonna get more into that later. That empathy is a good thing. And I also believe that about myself for a long time too. And I still believe that empathy is a strength that not everyone has. But like I said, not everyone deserves access to your empathy 100% of the time. And we're going to get into that shit later on because it's so important. But I believed that way to be true about myself 100% of the time. This was my way of being for most of my adult early 20s and mid 20s. I'm not gonna lie. It was my way of being and it was natural to me. I didn't really question it because it was just how I function with relationships around me. It was my identity at the time, which it usually is. And what people will not tell you is that this is not intuition or you being a strong feeler and other people not being able to meet up with that and being a strong feeler too. This is conditioning. Somewhere along the way, you learned that managing how other people felt safer than being yourself. Even if that meant erasing who you truly are around people in the process. And isn't that just kind of crazy and sad at the same time? Hearing it out loud. To be honest though, I used to be this exact same person a whole year ago. And a year ago is when I decided to stop being this person. And it took so much to get here. But the journey was well worth it because I'm a complete 360 from where I was 1 year ago today. I decided I was done living my life for other people. And I remember that exact moment. I think it was literally 2024 on Christmas. I was like, I'm fucking done with this shit. I'm done living for other people. I'm done living around obligations of whatever the fuck that meant in my life. I'm done living for how other people want me to live my life. I decided I am done absorbing other people's pain because it is not my job to do so, ever. They can deal with their own pain, and this does not erase empathy. This doesn't erase empathy here. This means that you are letting other people deal with their own pain so that they do not dump it onto you to fix or to heal them so that they can deal with their own pain and learn from it instead of you taking on that pain and being that carrier of emotions. Because if you continue to do that, you will be that person that they will look for whenever they deal with pain. You will be the one they look for to dump on whenever they feel that pain, because you're allowing it. Number one, your empathy really overrides any rationalization of, is this something that I shouldn't be doing, which isn't a bad thing. It's okay. I've been there. There's also a realization in this process to where you have to shift your mindset to have confidence in other people to even be able to handle their own pain, their own emotions. And this comes from you being able to look at yourself and sit with yourself first. You being able to do that and show that to yourself, prove it to yourself physically that you are able to do this as well. And when you see that you can do that exactly for yourself, then it will literally be seen in other people. If I have done it and if I can hold my own pain without giving it away, then they can do it too. And they might not be able to. They might not get there, but I still am not the carrier of pain anymore. I know you probably might relate to this of what I'm about to say is I didn't realize when I was doing these things, I was being looked at as the good person. I felt like that, right? That's what people would say when you do these things that you actually don't want to do, but you do anyways because maybe you want to take the pain away from somebody else. Carry something for them so that they don't have to hold it. What I always felt that I ignored was resentment. And this breeds when you do something that you don't want to do and you override it with your own empathy and your own rationalization of, oh, I'm doing this because maybe they can't. And that's where, going back to what I say of having confidence in other people, to where that will override in of itself and not even exist anymore in your mind when you take a look at that separately. Resentment, it's a literal signal telling you, I'm not meant to do this. This doesn't feel good. And if I keep doing it and ignoring myself and erasing my needs, abandoning myself, it's just going to keep going downhill. And the resentment brews, whether it is towards a person, many people, a situation, an environment, whatever it is, it still exists if you do not say exactly what you want in the moment instead of just doing what somebody else says that they want you to do. And it's okay because I understand the feeling of being afraid of saying no, because you're afraid of what's going to happen, being rejected, being abandoned, whatever that is, which we might get into later. The thing to start practicing is realizing that the resentment is brewed right after you say yes to something you don't want to do. So a good practice here is to remind yourself to actually pause before somebody asks you to do something. Do I actually want to do this? Or am I just doing it to be the good person? To be the good person in other people's eyes because I have been this person up until this point. The question is to come back to yourself and ask yourself, would this be more of a hassle for me to do? Or is it actually fine and I won't feel any way after? That is how you know if it is full of resentfulness in the beginning. If it's something you don't want to do, the whole timeline is going to be filled with a little bit of resentment. So that's how you kind of know. And you can tune yourself to exactly what you want to do and what you don't want to do. In this process, though, of resentment, you literally quiet your own anger, which is crazy. And like I said, you think your empathy is always right because you have that gift of being able to feel for other people. You can feel their pain. And because you can feel it so strongly, you absorb it and you take it on as your own, which is far from the truth of reality of what we're meant to truly do when faced with these people, with these situations, and with these interactions. You are rationalizing yourself to abandon yourself. Abandoning yourself by constantly being there for other people who need you. And when they need you, they are getting something from you. They want something from you. And what happens if you took yourself away and you stopped being the one that they needed? What do you think would happen? They probably would get their source from somebody else that isn't you. So the truth is, if it is all from a needing standpoint, if somebody needing something from you, I don't think that's a good relationship to even focus on or have, because it comes from needing something from you. Transactional. No, we don't do that. Not again, ever again in 2026. Cut that shit off. But the empathy is usually always the excuse and the reasoning behind our behavior, because we have so much of it, right? We want to give it to everyone. And if this sounds familiar, I am right here with you throughout this, I promise. I have gotten out of this shit and I'm here to help you, which is exactly why I'm making a video on this, because this way of living is not meant to be your reality. I know you feel stuck. I know you feel like you can't say no. I know you probably don't have boundaries and you're afraid of being abandoned, rejected by whoever it is. Maybe it's people you've known forever and you're afraid of being somebody different because you're afraid of them leaving you, because if you are who you are and not who they want you to be, who knows if you'll lose them? You might. But would you rather stay around people who are sucking your fucking soul from you, getting something from you, or wait and pause and choose people who actually fulfill you in life? That's a deeper question for another day. And the truth is that I realized around last year and even this year as well, is that I wasn't even relating to people. They weren't relating to me either, which doesn't make them wrong or me wrong. It's just how it was. People didn't care about me just at my core. They cared about, like I said, what I was giving them, what they were getting from me, which it makes sense because some people are like that. And maybe all of us are a little like that, of getting something from someone, out of wanting it, out of transactional base. Of course, a lot of people are brought up to actually be this way. It's pretty common, but it doesn't mean you have to live this way, even if other people around you live that way. I promise. This all breeds responsibility. This breeds expectations. This breeds so much heaviness for you to take on, which is a illusion. It's not even real. It is brought upon you by other people, other things, whatever is expected of you. It is fabrication. And when everything comes from responsibility, you can feel it. You already know. If I ask you, when was the last time somebody asked you to do something out of obligation and you said yes, you would probably know. The question is, are you going to say no next time without feeling guilty or shame? That's the real question. When it does come from responsibility, though, that's when it feels hard to say no. That is when it feels hard to get yourself out of it. Like there's literally no room for me to go, because either way, it's still literally me holding up the motherfucking world on my back. That's how it feels. This is where you start to track people's moods. This might have been how you grew up and who you were molded to be. This can be in childhood or even up until your adult life, or even now, which I'm about to explain of how you might be behaving like right now. This is all I realized I was doing for myself, which is why I'm sharing it. And it's not uncommon, honestly, especially for people who feel deeply and are full of depth. This is where you track people's moods. This is where you adjust yourself to fit the mold of what already exists, because it feels safer than being yourself. This is where you soften or dim yourself or make yourself more digestible for people to understand you. But in reality, that isn't even you at your core. But you adjust yourself depending on your environment. It's like you're always molding, being a chameleon, adjusting yourself to the room around you instead of you being that anchor within yourself, no matter where you are. It's like you fitting into the external, molding yourself internally to the external, when it really should be the opposite. And you carry things for other people so nothing bad happens, whatever that looks like, or because if you feel like you don't, you might be rejected, misunderstood, invalidated, all of these negative things that we don't want to feel, right? So what are we doing? We are literally doing something to prevent that, which is kind of crazy if you look at it in a psychological way. But I'm telling you for a fact, we aren't doing that anymore. If you continue to live that way, you're going to keep abandoning yourself, erasing yourself, removing your sense of self. And it's about time that you stop doing that, so that this next year, the year of 2026, the year of the horse, if you want to look at it in Chinese zodiacs, it is time for you to really, truly become who you're meant to be under the surface of all of these conditions, all of these programs that were never yours to begin with. And the true word that I'm going to give you here that explains all of these types of relationships around you is what I like to call enmeshment. Now, enmeshment is feeling like you are trapped in a relationship, usually, maybe an environment, however that looks like for you. It is like a person constantly feeding off of you, and you can feel it. And you know, no matter how much you try to avoid it or say that it doesn't exist, it does. And what you give to them as well matters. And if you remove yourself, like I said earlier, they will find somebody else to feed off of, because it was all based around transaction. It's like a damn drug, honestly. If you think about it in a deep way of somebody takes it away from them, they're gonna go find it somewhere else. Kind of crazy if you think about it in that way too. And when you're in these types of relationships, no wonder why there's repressed and suppressed anger, emotions. There's no boundaries, because you never had a chance to exercise them ever. Maybe you did, but you were met with, oh, you're not a good person. What the fuck? First of all, that is an immediate no. So of course you feel like this. But the truth is, ever since the beginning, your nervous system was trained and believed that if I take care of how they feel, I feel connected and loved and maybe even safe as well. And over time, you unconsciously become that emotional caretaker for everyone around you. You got molded into it without even knowing, and without them knowing as well, consciously, honestly. If they do know and they're doing that on purpose, that's a little fucked up. And the truth is, some people can take advantage of this, especially people who are codependent. It might not even be intentional, honestly, but the fact of the matter of it happening is still intentional in some way, shape, or form, especially with people who will exploit you for being a deep feeler and being an emotional person. Look out for those people, because that shit ain't it. It still might be unintentional, but you have to pay attention to that, especially because people could possibly emotionally exploit you, and you don't want those types of people around you in your life. That's not a goodbye, bitch. But this was never because you wanted to be this person. It's because you learned that this was a safer route than being yourself, separating from everyone. It was better to be with everyone as this role that felt safer than going against that exact role. The true thing that I want to get solidified into somebody's mind, to cement it right here and now, is that true connection does not come with responsibility. Ever. Love is not and will never be something needed to be managed. No. This empathy turns into self-abandonment, like I was talking about earlier, because you feel so deeply for other people, or you have up until this point, because you learn to ignore yourself for other people and put them first before you. And absorbing these emotions is not sensitivity, it is survival. But since you've had this skill ever since maybe you grew up, or maybe you adapted throughout your life, this becomes now discernment when you are at the other side of the pendulum. You can work with this in your favor, choosing when to use your empathy, choosing when to use your presence, because you know how much your presence matters. You know how much empathy you are able to give somebody, and it's not going to be for fucking everyone, because you've done that. This is the other pendulum. You've been here. Self-abandonment, giving everything to everyone, being the emotional caretaker. Swing to the other side. You are literally practicing discernment of when you want to give your empathy to someone, how much empathy you want to give to someone, giving yourself space between response and stimulus, deciding when you want to engage, because you know that your empathy is a skill and you don't have to use your empathy anymore to feel like you have to be there right then and there when somebody wants you, because you know at the end of the day you have that skill, and it's up to you if you want to use it or not. It's not up to the other person. It's not up to you to be like, oh no, I didn't use my empathy. Oh no, I wasn't there for them in that moment. Maybe they might feel rejected from me. That is not yours to take on anymore, because if they feel that way, let them feel that way. A person who actually knew you and understood you and cared about how much empathy, how much of a deep person you are, wouldn't take advantage of that. And that is the absolute truth. But what I want you to remember throughout this whole video is that these patterns don't just disappear because you are aware of them. You have to actively practice this in the present moment and really practice listening to yourself first, giving yourself space from everyone around you that might be pulling you. You have to give yourself those boundaries and give other people boundaries as well, because this is the exact reason to why you feel tired, why you feel like your relationships are always heavy no matter who it is, because it is the exact same loop playing out time after time in every single relationship. Nothing has changed. It is feeding off of the exact same things inside of you. And what we've got to do is take a good look inside of you and remove it, all of the negativity. Look at the shadow part of you, what maybe you might not want to look at right now, but we're going to have to take a look at it for you to look inside, to finally grab onto it and decide, do I want to keep this with me or do I not want to keep this with me? If you don't want to keep it with you, throw that shit back into the earth, into the ether, and decide to move forward as who you truly want to be. Say, fuck everyone else. I don't care if I'm misunderstood, bitch. I'm going to be myself no matter what. Because that means, at the end of the day, I am being true to me. And the last reframe before I end out this video is, other people's emotions are not your responsibility. No matter how often people want to come to you for them, it's not your responsibility. If you are able to deal with your own pain, if other people are able to deal with their own pain, and other people have turned their own pain into their power, if they have overcome their own pain, other people, maybe you've seen it, then so is this person. How is this person who is wanting something from you different than another person who is also able to heal from their own pain? Do not let people take advantage of you just because they know you have the capacity to be compassionate, have empathy, and be a person of depth who is able to take care of people emotionally, when the reality is you should be taking a good look at yourself of how you can take care of yourself emotionally instead of how you can take care of other people emotionally. Because like I said, that shit's not your responsibility anymore. Let them have and feel their own worries and their own feelings, because it doesn't make you wrong no matter how much whatever somebody wants to tell you. I have certainly heard that before. If you are seen as wrong, if you are seen as mean, if you are seen as whatever it is, just ask yourself this thing really quick. Does this person who is telling me that I am wrong or bad just because I am not responding to how they want me to, do they have boundaries? If they don't, write them off. If they only interact with you when they want something from you, write them off. If they only interact with you because they want you to hold their emotions because they're feeling a type of way, write them off. Because their opinion doesn't fucking matter, quite frankly, at this fucking point. Truthfully and honestly, if you want me to be 100% direct, that is the truth. Letting people really feel their own feels is a blessing. You're not meant to be this emotional keeper, this emotional peacekeeper anymore. Let people feel their feels and let them go through their own pain so they can take their own pain and turn it to their own power. No matter how much they might misunderstand you, judge you, whatever it is, resent you, it's never yours. If they do, then that is a clear sign. You can tell they were using you for something. And that is what you have to keep into your mind. And remember, that's not even somebody who I want around me. And when you realize that, you realize, oh, they were using me for something. Maybe not intentionally, but they're using me for what I have inside. And when you know that, then you realize I have the power inside that I can start giving to myself freely. And then I could choose outside of me who I want to give this to. Not out of neglect, not out of avoidance, but out of choice and presence. There is a difference. You are regulated when you give it to people. You aren't doing it out of fear. You aren't doing it out of anxiety. You are doing it out of realizing, how does this person make me feel? If I feel safe, okay, I can give more. If I feel like this person misunderstands me, bitch, you don't have to give anymore. You don't have to prove your love. You don't have to prove wanting to be seen by a person who won't be able to see it. Because the main thing that you have to pay attention is to see people as they are. Take exactly what they show you because it is how they are. We don't have to look at potentials. I know I used to do that. Maybe you watching can see people's potential of who they could be, because you see themselves, you see yourself in them. But the truth is, you have to see people for how they are, not their potential, because they're showing you exactly who they are right now. And you aren't there to fix anyone or manage anyone to get there, because that is going to harm you in the process. You might as well see someone for how they are right now and take that and ask yourself, do I want this person in my life or not? Presently where they are, do I want them around me or not? And you will know. Follow your own intuition and guidance, because you will know. You don't have to erase yourself to feel connected, I promise you. And you don't have to carry what was never yours. Awareness comes first throughout this whole process. Not forcing yourself to go to that exact opposite of becoming indifferent and removing yourself completely from everyone and everything. But noticing when you feel like you are leaving yourself, abandoning yourself for someone else to make someone else feel good. While that means erasing yourself in the process, the only practice that you need moving forward is noticing when you do that and pausing and asking yourself in that moment, do I actually want to do this or do I not? Choosing the right one. And once you keep choosing the one that aligns with you, you're going to prove to yourself time after time through compounded effort that this is what I can do and this can become my new way of being and new normal, because it's going to be a practice. And once it becomes a practice, it will become your way of being. Once it becomes your way of being, it becomes your identity. And then you shift from being a people pleaser, a constant person who abandons themselves for connection and relationships, to finally having that inner authority and self-reliance within themselves, and a person that is honestly able to be themselves no matter who they are around. They are the most authentic person in the room, and they are the person who can remain calm in the motherfucking chaos. And that is the true gift and the true blessing. At the end of the day, when you go through this exact process. This is how the power comes back online. It's always been there. You just gotta tap into it and remove all that isn't for you anymore. You're not broken. You were adaptive. Remember that. And now you're waking up. You've got this.